Hey, everybody, and welcome to the 25th episode of Brent Ewing's Hey Buddy podcast and week 9 of the Michigan Football Big Ten podcast. On this week's show, we'll discuss the remaining Big Ten games that took place this past weekend, as well as the upcoming bowl games. Talk a little bit about Michigan basketball. Obviously, we talk about Michigan football as well, but we're really going to spend a lot of time going over the upcoming bowl schedule, which should be a fun season of bowls. And a crazy season that it's been, we're going to see some really good matchups, I feel. So anyway, guys, sorry for the 2-week delay, so without further ado, here's this week's episode. It's been a couple weeks. Good Christmas. You guys have a pretty good day. Get to spend it with the folks and the in-laws.
Oh yeah. It's been a nice little break from work. I actually had let's see here, worked Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, so I had 24th, 25th, and then I had Saturday, Sunday, and then I took off Monday and Tuesday because I had some time to kill before I lost it. So I've been off for 6 days. It's been pretty nice, actually. Slept in and made breakfast for the boys, and got to hang out, watch some movies with them, and just kind of chill. It's been nice.
Dude, you sent me that video last night. I lost it.
Yeah.
I heard you chuckle in the background. I lost it.
Oh yeah. Well, we were watching. Casey wanted to watch Lord of the Rings, so we watched it, and then I was like, "Let's watch this." And they were like, "What's that?" And I told Adam about it before. I was like, "Yeah, it's comedy." It's like I used to watch it, a long time ago. And dude, they were cracking up.
Oh, I bet.
I mean, just cracking up, and it was making me laugh even more. But yeah, it's a great one.
I think that's one of those underrated ones that not a lot of people know about.
Oh, for sure. For obviously, we haven't said it, but See No Evil, Hear No Evil was the movie we're talking about with Richard Pryor and Gene Wilder.
Right.
Fantastic movie.
If you haven't seen that one, I put that one and Nothing to Lose kind of together. It's like people don't know what those movies are. It's like, man, those are criminally underrated comedies.
Very, very. Nothing to Lose, in my opinion, maybe one of the most underrated comedies ever. I mean, it cracks me up every time I watch it. I mean, I lose it.
Yeah, great cast. It was Martin Lawrence at his height.
Yeah.
Like, he was so funny. Him and Tim Robbins played off each other so well.
They did, and you don't expect that out of Tim Robbins. Like, with Shawshank Redemption and some of the other more serious, movies that he's been in, and not that one, but definitely one of the better comedies, in my opinion, that just always gets overlooked.
Right, and then John C. McGinley. Talk about somebody you don't expect in a role, man. He comes on and you kind of even forget it's him.
Yeah, I do. Want to shoot him. That's a great one though. But anyway, that's But yeah, had a great time off. Hate to go back to work tomorrow, but is what it is. Yeah. Got to pay bills.
Sweet. So I'll be getting more memes tomorrow. I've been wondering, man.
For sure.
Memes, Bub must be off.
I know, right? I mean, been doing other stuff.
Right. Well, man, let's hop into it. Kind of a crazy end to a football season. Michigan obviously getting their last game of the season against Ohio State canceled, and then the bowl game getting canceled, ending the season at a whopping 2-4 clip. Just an unfortunate season all around.
It is, just in general, like you said, just unfortunate. And that doesn't, not just for them, but just overall. I mean, it's one of those seasons that you just going to have an asterisk beside it just in everything because of what all, some people played a full season, some people didn't hardly play a half a season, and anywhere in between. It's just one of those seasons just doesn't make sense.
Right, and since we talked last, obviously it's still up in the air with Harbaugh. It looks like he's going to sign an extension.
But I did see that today. There was I saw something that apparently says that Harbaugh's deal is, quote, done. But they haven't released the details. Of course, that was going off of, I think it may have been Rivals. I saw that on, and it's a subscription thing, and I was like, yeah, I'm not paying. I'll find out, in 2 days when everyone else has it.
Dude, yeah, I wouldn't pay. Dude, we pay every day being a fan.
Kidding.
We don't have to pay. Yeah, don't pay for that. But
apparently that seems to be that his contract is, as they say, done.
And I can't say I'm happy about it. I'm kind of, at this point, I was ready for him to go. I was ready for some new blood to come in. Obviously, he got rid of Don Brown, which Don landed around his feet. He's going to be with Jed Fish in Arizona, new defensive coordinator out there.
Oh yeah, and he was with Michigan for a while.
Yeah, there were hopes. I read a lot of the message boards and things like that. People were hoping that Fish might come back to Michigan, maybe as offensive coordinator. But good for him. Good for him for taking that job in Arizona. Hopefully, he does well.
Yeah,
I think Don Brown will do well there because in that conference, defense isn't necessarily stressed as much.
No. Not at all.
You give up 25, 35 a game, and it doesn't look as bad as it does in the Big Ten. So
yeah, that's because they just score more.
Exactly.
Out there.
Exactly.
West of the Mississippi, they just score more.
They do,
seems to be anyway.
Yep. If you're not in Columbus or down south, man, they score in buckets. Not a whole lot of highlights for this season. I went through some stats. I'll go over some stats with you, kind of get your thoughts on those. Not anything to be proud of, unfortunately. Just a rough season overall. We'll talk about the quarterbacks first. Obviously, Milton was a starter at the beginning of the year. Everybody kind of hyped him up after the first game, especially. They thought, man, this might be the guy to turn the program around. He ends the season 80 for 141, which is 56% completion percentage, 1,077 yards, 4 TDs and 4 picks. McNamara, came in there late, played a little bit, played like a game and a half before getting hurt himself. Ended up 43 for 71, 61% completion percentage, 425 yards, and actually led the team in touchdown passes with 5. No interceptions thrown, which that was one bright spot. I liked his decision making. Obviously, that last game he was in, he was hurt. So a lot of those, his completion percentage probably would have been a little bit higher. But you see him, in that last game, you see him forcing balls that shouldn't have been thrown, having nothing on the throws. But I really like his decision making. So if he's the guy next year, whether it be him or McCarthy coming in, I feel more comfortable going into next year than I have in the last few years. That's for sure, at the quarterback position anyway.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Like you said, Milton starts the year. After the first game, I was like, hey, you know what? This looks great. And then it just comes to find out that we just played an absolutely horrible Minnesota team that was very, very highly overranked at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And he shredded their defense and made himself look like a Heisman candidate, against that defense. And after that, it was ugly. I feel like the offense under him didn't have that spark. They didn't have that, I'm going to give it my all when we're out there, which I really feel like with McNamara in there, that he had that spark. And for some reason, it seems like the team really played a lot better, a lot more efficiently and aggressive when McNamara was on the field. And like you say, whether it's McNamara or McCarthy coming in, whoever, obviously, in my opinion, I think it would be McNamara just because of the experience.
Mm-hmm.
But, getting into a tight spot, or if he gets injured, you've got a 5-star, QB coming in, even though he's a true freshman, I think he could at least learn at the beginning and do a decent job if for some reason his number was called.
Right. And, when we saw Milton in the first game, everybody was kind of putting those Cam Newton comparisons on there. And unfortunately, he played like Cam. If you watch Cam this year for the Patriots, man.
Exactly, yeah.
I watched
that game last night, and it was, oof.
My Lord, I've never seen somebody fall off as quickly. Now, the weapons aren't there. You hear that, blah, blah, blah. But let's be honest, man.
Oh, I agree. But if you watched last night's game with him, I mean, he was throwing balls into the ground.
Oh, it was awful. It was absolutely
wide open guys, and he was throwing them into the ground. So
absolutely.
You can't tell me that they don't have the people when I don't care who you got on the field. If you're throwing balls in the dirt, ain't nobody going to catch them.
Obviously being a Brady homer, I'm going to take up for Brady. And it's like, who did Brady have these last couple of years? Name those receivers that he had. Yeah, you had a healthy Edelman. Edelman's been banged up, though, the last 3 or 4 years. And with him not being in there much this year, that did hurt. But, man, I think just watching Brady, I don't know if you've watched the Bucs much this year. I've watched every game.
I haven't watched every, but I've watched a decent amount.
And, man, I'll tell you, he's thrown for, just under 700 yards in the last 4 quarters. right?
Yep.
I mean, it's unreal what he's doing at 43, and I think that discussion has to end about, oh, he was a system quarterback. Was he? I mean, look what the Patriots are doing without him. Was it Belichick? Was it Brady? I think you can tell that, man, Brady was the heart and soul of that. Belichick's a great coach, and he'll get this turned around. But do what Brady's doing right now. Yeah, he has a ton of weapons. He's never had more weapons in his life, but he's also, they got to get that chemistry. He's learning a new offense. So early on, and even mid-season, man, there were some games where you're like, man, he's overthrowing guys. He's underthrowing guys. What's going on? But then you realize, man, first year in a system, when you're used to a different offensive scheme for 20 years, and you come in here and you're still, I think he's second or third in the league in yards. He's got like 4,300 yards. He's got 36 touchdowns, 11 picks. He's 43 years old.
Yeah.
It's just unbelievable what he's doing right now.
I completely agree. And to further, show that, like you said, what he's done in New England in the past, and obviously, I mean, what he did, I mean, six Super Bowls in 18 years, 19 years he was there.
Crazy, man.
But not only that, but like for him to come into, like you said, him coming in a brand new system, learning the chemistry's got to be there. But take that back in the past, 4 and 5 years to the Buccaneers with Jameis Winston.
Mm-hmm.
He's been there for 6-7 years.
Yeah.
And for the most part, the last couple of years, he's had the same weapons that Brady has now. Minus Gronk. I mean, add Gronk in there, but Gronk's kind of that hit or miss right now. He's not. He might have a game where he don't have a catch at all.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But like you said, people say that Brady was a system quarterback. Well, to me, I feel like you could put him in pretty much any system and he'll be fine. Just like
Absolutely.
You insert him into this system where Jameis Winston throws the most amount of interceptions
mm-hmm.
in the last. There was some kind of stat, I can't remember exactly what it was. But with Winston not playing this year, I think he still has like the third most interceptions thrown in the past 2 years.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's in the 30s, I believe, isn't he?
Yeah, so I mean, you can't – that just goes to show you put the right quarterback in any system. It's the quarterback. It's not the system. I don't care what you say. That's just my opinion on it.
Right, and same goes for Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes. You put those guys, Drew Brees. I think you put them in any system, they're going to excel because they're smart, they're great quarterbacks. But I just hate that narrative of Brady's a system quarterback.
Right. And here's the thing: you throw any of those four you just named into I'm not going to say a run-heavy system, but a system that has a good running game, and it's just going to make it 10 times better. Because now it just completely throws the defense off when you can go play action, and they're going to bite as hard as they can on that fake, because if we don't, they're going to get 5-6 yards every carry.
Right.
So that defense really comes after them hard, and now you've just opened up everything behind their defense.
Right. Well, let's get off that Brady tangent. Sorry about that. Going.
Yeah, you're good.
But obviously, huge Brady fan. I'm really proud to see what he's doing. I think, depending on Tampa Bay's defense throughout the playoffs, they could go a little ways. They might come up against, if they keep winning, they might come up against the Packers again, which that's going to be a tough one because that would be at Lambeau.
Right.
But man, I really like what they're doing offensively. They're just they played a depleted Lions team this past week. Yeah, I get that, but to do what he did, my goodness, if he would have played the whole game, he could have thrown for 650 yards and 6 or 7 touchdowns. But anyway, back to our current Wolverines.
Yeah.
We'll jump on to the running backs now, man, and it was pretty much a 2-man show, really a 1-man show. Hassan Haskins pretty much solidified that number 1 role. Ended up with 61 carries, 375 yards, 6 TDs. You had Charbonnet coming in with only 19 carries for 124 yards and 1 touchdown. That one big 70-yard run and 1 touchdown in his first carry of the year. Pretty much dormant, non-existent for the last 5 games, which is just sad. Great blocking back. I was super impressed with when he would come in on blocking downs, and he really did a good job of protecting the quarterback. But you got to give that guy more carries.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And maybe I know we text back and forth with Evans not coming back. Maybe Charbonnet stays, and now that's your number 2. And now you have a solid 1-2, with Haskins and Charbonnet.
Maybe, with Edwards coming in, with Dunlap coming in, with Corum still there, It's like, man.
Yeah, I can see that, but my guess is they will obviously probably redshirt. Corum, I feel, is going to take over Evan's role in that third down change of pace back because I feel like he is the more shifty of all of them. So I feel like he's going to be your more of your third down, catch it out of the backfield type of a back.
But, right. And I can see Corum getting involved a little bit more in the passing game for sure. Moving on to the receivers, I just wrote down the top two receivers. Man, you had Ronnie Bell, 26 catches, 401 yards, 15.4 average. He had only one touchdown. And Cornelius Johnson, 16 catches, 254 yards. Again, a 15.9 average, 3 touchdowns. But man, he just didn't get the ball enough. 42.
I agree.
42 catches between them. Just not good enough for your two biggest receivers. 6 games for that, man. You gotta target them more often. Throw down
for sure
more often. But I was impressed with Bell. I thought Bell offensively. I thought Bell was the heart of the team this year. I thought him and Haskins.
I agree.
Him and Haskins were definitely two offensive players of the year. They both played extremely well, extremely hard. So that was nice to see. I was impressed with Cornelius as well. I thought Cornelius played pretty well.
Yep, I did. I agree. Hopefully next year they get a more expanded role. I really feel that the big part of them not getting as many targets and stuff was the constant 3 and outs that they had.
Absolutely.
I mean that kills an offense when you go 3 plays. Now you've got to let the other team have 8, 9, 10 plays before you go 3 and out again. That's hard on anybody.
Moving on to, I didn't do anything on the offensive linemen. I mean, again, it was shuffled around so much this year.
Mayfield, it shuffled around, and they were very young.
Right.
So, I mean, that was a huge part. I feel that really brought on a lot of those 3 and outs, and the return to the 1 yard or negative, rushes. Seems like, hopefully next year, they with the experience they get this year and maybe some coaching, you can get them in a little bit better shape for next year.
Right. And Mayfield, looks like Mayfield's already declared he's going to go pro. So losing him off the line, which again he was out much of the year, so not a huge loss there, I guess. Special teams, Nordine and Moody, just what an atrocious year. 3 for 9 combined field goals. Nordine 2 for 5, Moody 1 for 4. I just read before
33%. What was our percentage back?
4 for 4. 4 for 14. Yeah.
So that's 12.
That's maybe 30% ish.
Yeah, we're right on the same.
Yeah, it's pretty bad either way. But I just read before
Let's see here. Nordine Moody. We could rename it the Normood Award.
Nordine Moody Brookhuizen Award.
Nah, it's just the Brookhuizen. I don't care.
Poor Seth. If this year would have went longer, Seth may have been in the clear.
That's true.
One of these guys might have taken over, but for Nordine, what a disappointing career. The guy comes in as basically the number 1 kicker. Harbaugh, obviously, the story spends the night at his house, climbs a tree, all this different stuff to get him to come in. And
I mean, you're talking the number 1 kicker in the nation at the time, and he just lays an egg. I mean, terrible.
But so I read right before we came on to record this that Nordine is opting to enter the NFL draft too. So he's coming out. He won't be back, which no big loss there.
No, not at all. So it looks like Moody will probably be taking over unless there's another. Now the guy the recruit coming in, is he just a punter?
No, he's a punter and a kicker, but I'm not sure if he's a field goal kicker.
Okay.
I mean,
because if I remember right, he was like one of the top 2 or 1 or 2 kickers again, but I couldn't remember if it was just punting only or if it was place kicking.
Right. Now, I was impressed with Brad Robbins. I thought he had a pretty good year for us, pretty solid.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
Punting the ball pretty well. So, flipping over to the defensive side, not many stats on this one. I'm not going to talk long about this because, our defense is pretty atrocious.
Yeah.
With Kwity Paye being injured and not being himself this year, with Aiden Hutchinson getting hurt, it was a pretty bad defensive line. I saw some things I liked from certain people. I saw, Michael Barrett step up a little bit. I thought he looked good at times.
I agree.
Obviously, I thought Cam McGrone looked pretty good until he got hurt, and then the bad news today that he's coming out for the draft, which I think that's a mistake on his part.
Completely, 100%. He's nowhere near. In my opinion, he doesn't even get drafted. I don't
think so either. I think he'll make a team because I think he has that kind of talent. But
I agree. But it'll be practice squad and then make your way onto the team. He definitely ain't gonna get drafted.
Right, but good news yesterday was Aiden Hutchinson decided to forego the draft and come back another year, which that's good news. If you could have that
for sure,
anchor in the D line, get some recruits coming in. Which, I mean, it's not like we recruited any defensive tackles the last 5 years anyway. But hopefully they can get some people in there who can step up and really make that jump from this year to next.
Yeah, it was good to see Aiden come back. I mean, not only do we need him on the line, but he's an older guy. That experience, that leadership, that'll be. I think he'll be one of your main captains for next year, and hopefully that can he can get these guys next year, get them in shape, and lead them out there.
And defensively, not a great season. As a team, man, we had 9 sacks and 2 interceptions on the entire year in 6 games. I mean, just
terrible.
No pressure on the quarterback.
No fumbles. I mean, yeah, that's a horrible fact, because I thought for sure, after that first game when we, really played very well on defense, got after the quarterback, and I was like, heck yeah, this is what we've been needing up here. And after that game, it was just non-existent.
It was hard to find any good in any game after that first one. It really was. Even the game we won against Rutgers, it was just tough to find anything good, man. But yeah, I mean, you can't have 9 sacks on the year and 2 interceptions. You got to create turnovers. If your defense is struggling anyway, you got to find ways to create turnovers, and they didn't do it. Josh Ross led the team in tackles with 53 on the year. He had 1 of the sacks and 1 of the interceptions, and Dax Hill had 45 tackles, 4 pass defensed, and 1 interception. So between Ross and Dax, they had both of our interceptions on the season. Again, those are both guys who shouldn't be leading the team. Dax shouldn't be one of the leaders in tackles on the team. He's a safety.
No, he's a safety.
Like, man, that just tells you how bad our defense was.
Yeah, if your safeties are leading the team in tackles, and that doesn't show anything for your linebackers or defensive line. That's just plain and simple. Just plain
ugly. So yeah, man. Again, well, with the season, I hate that it was cut short. I hate that.
I agree.
I hate the ball that we saw. It was brutal to watch at times, but I still miss it. I miss that they didn't play the entire season. I miss they didn't go to a bowl game. It's just going to be a long time to wait until next August till they roll back around again.
Yep, I agree.
Well, we'll move on from Michigan. Let's talk a little bit. There were a few games played in the Big Ten there that last week. You had Nebraska beating Rutgers 28-21. Nebraska ends the year at 3-5. Rutgers 3-6. What a game by Adrian Martinez, the quarterback for Nebraska. 24 for 28 through the air, 255, a TD and 2 picks, 23 carries, 157 yards, 2 TDs on the ground. Just a heck of a game for him against that Rutgers defense.
For sure.
They also had
impressive stats.
Absolutely. They also had another running back, Dedrick Mills, who had 25 carries for 191 yards. So they rolled up, they put up 620 total yards, held Rutgers to 252, just dominated time of possession. And they had 4 turnovers. So if they wouldn't have turned the ball over 4 times, man, they might have rolled up, 700-800 yards.
That's true. That's impressive to put up those kind of stats, honestly, with having 4 turnovers. Man,
yeah, Wisconsin barely squeaked by Minnesota 2017. Wisconsin ends the year at 3-3. Minnesota at 3-4. Our boy, man, Muhammad, running back from Minnesota, just continues to bang out yards. 26 carries, 151 yards. Top.
Dude, I'm telling you, that kid. I know, obviously, you got to look at the defense and who they're playing against. But that kid just doesn't quit. I mean, he gives it his all, and he puts up numbers. I can't remember what he is as far as in school or much longer he's got left, but I really feel that he could definitely go somewhere for sure. I mean, he's impressive.
Oh, for sure, man. I think he's probably the best running back in the Big Ten. Now, if Sermon for Ohio State would have got maybe more carries throughout the year, maybe I'd be saying he's the best after what he did in that game. But But Abraham, oh my gosh, just played out of his mind, went over 1,000 yards on the season for a really bad Minnesota team. So that was kind of cool to see. Wisconsin, man, Graham Mertz, this guy, after starting the season 20 for 21 in that opening game, 20 for 21, 248 yards and 5 touchdowns. He finished the season 87 for 155, 3 TDs and 5 picks over his next 5 games. So take out that first game, man. He's pretty bad, you know?
Right. I mean, that's barely over 50%, 50 to 60.
Yep. Just not a great
Who did they play that first game? I can't remember.
I watched it.
I can't remember, but
I think it was Illinois, wasn't it?
Well, that would make sense.
I think it was Illinois, but still, the guy's coming in making his first start. He looked sharp. He was on the money.
Yeah.
But then,
look what Milton did.
Yeah, that's true. And he did. He was down some receivers. They were kind of depleted on offense, but yeah, just not a good rest. The last 5 games for him didn't treat him well. Penn State.
No.
56, Illinois 21. Man, Penn State, after starting 0-5, win their next 4. In the season 4-5, Illinois ends the season 2-6. Clifford came back, had a nice game, 16 for 22, 285, 2 touchdowns. My boy Jahan Dotson, I really like this kid. I think he's going to be good at the next level. He had 6 catches, 189 yards, and 2 TDs. Ended the year with 52 catches, 884 yards, 8 touchdowns. Looked really, really good. Illinois, they're not good.
No, they're not.
Isaiah Williams, their quarterback, he accounted for 222 of Illinois' 273 total yards. Just brutal.
Wow.
Again, Penn State bounced back. We thought Penn State was going to be decent this year, and when they started off,
Oh yeah, 0-5.
that first loss to Indiana kind of set the tone, and then of course you have to play Ohio State that next week. You knew that was a loss, and then they struggled obviously until they played us, and then they turned things around a little bit, but. I thought they were better than they were playing, and they showed those last 4 games. They hung in there, won 4 in a row, so build some momentum going into next year for them. Yeah, man, I thought, I thought Illinois is pretty bad, pretty bad team. I did see tonight that Brandon Peters is going to come back next year for his 6th year. Which does he win that starting job back? I don't know. I hope he does, just for the sake of the kid. I always had high hopes for him when he was in Ann Arbor.
Yeah, me too.
Too bad that kind of didn't work out. I thought that was going to be Harbaugh's first real quarterback recruit coming in, and just didn't pan out, and the concussions and the injuries, and it's just been one thing after another with quarterbacks coming in under Harbaugh. Man, I don't understand. Hopefully, heck, McNamara's already been hurt. So hopefully McCarthy can come in for 3 or 4 years and stay healthy, but we'll see how that goes. And on to the big game in the Big Ten, obviously the championship game, Ohio State Northwestern. Man, Northwestern played well. They were up 10-6 at half. And Ohio State that second half. I didn't watch any of that game. I was working. By the time I got home, it was pretty much over.
Casey had a game, so I didn't. We were there, and I saw where Northwestern was up 10-6 at half, and then I think we may have gotten back home for near the end of it, and I turned it on, and I expected Ohio State to have made the adjustments they needed to make and come back.
Oh, sure.
And I was correct.
Sure. And Northwestern just doesn't have the firepower to hang. They might get out early, but they can't hang. They don't have. It's not the type of ball they play. It's not. They play that kind of grind them out, try to win the time of possession, try to win 17-14, something like that. And you're just not going to do that to Ohio State. Although, Fields had another pretty mediocre to bad performance, 12 for 27, 114 yards and 2 picks. In their 2 toughest games this year against Indiana and Northwestern, Fields was 30 for 57, 414 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 5 picks. So, that's, going in to play a Clemson defense, man, if you got to pick that up a little bit. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah. But
that's going to be the big thing right there. Is, in my opinion, that's what's going to be the big difference. Is Clemson's defense. If Clemson's defense can get after them, then it's going to be a long night for the Buckeyes.
Yeah, and we'll touch on that here in a little bit. We'll go over a couple bowl games, and but yeah, he's got to pick that up a little bit. Overall, a great season. I think Fields is going to be a great pro. Ohio State doesn't have a great pedigree of quarterbacks going to the NFL. We just seen with Haskins this week what a joke he is. Got waived by the Washington Redskins. I can't say Washington football team. It's whatever.
Yeah.
But, he got waived by them. Nobody picked him up, so he's kind of out there floating around as a free agent. Maybe he gets his head on straight because that guy, dude, he rewrote the record books, in the Big Ten a few years back, and
right,
man, he played out of his mind. So he's got talent, but sometimes that doesn't translate over.
You gotta
but I
have
think
more than just talent.
You do, man. I think Fields is that guy. I think he's gonna be good at the next level. We have a good crop. There's a good crop of quarterbacks coming out this year, so should be a pretty good draft as far as that goes. But like you said, Ohio State made the adjustments. Trey Sermon, my goodness, 29 carries, 331 yards, 2 TDs. He broke Eddie George's record that stood since 1995 when Eddie ran for 314 yards. So what a monster, what a beast. That's ridiculous, dude. 331 yards. We had Haskins
it's crazy.
Haskins was our leading rusher for the year and had 375 yards, and Sermon had 331 in this game.
Yeah, in one game. That's unreal. It kind of makes you, him running for 330 in one game just kind of reminds me of Bianca Patuca, running for, was it 334 or something like that against the Buckeyes when they were like, who is this guy?
Dude, who's this big Canadian back coming out there?
Yeah, running
all over the place, but he was
the same thing.
Oh, he was so fun to watch.
Yeah.
So fun to watch. I can't believe that's been that long ago. I think Bianca Patuca.
25?
I think Bianca Patuca graduated in 95. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking.
Just unbelievable.
But it's just like it kind of reminds me of that. It's like, where did this guy come from, and how did he just do this? Same thing with Sermon. This past game for them, It was just like wow.
And Sermon even ran for more because I think Bianca Patuca only ran for 313.
Yeah,
so
313. Okay, I couldn't remember exactly.
But man, what a day! He was just a bruiser that day, running through people.
Sure.
But the rest of the schedule for the Big Ten: Indiana, Purdue was canceled. Michigan, Iowa obviously canceled. Michigan State, Maryland canceled. Kind of some crazy news there for Michigan State with Lombardi transferring. He picked Northern Illinois, so from Michigan State to Northern Illinois, so he's going to be out there. It's crazy, man. This transfer portal, what's going on, and these guys who just they come in, have a bad season, I'm leaving, or they come in and they don't start their freshman year after being coddled for all these years, being told, hey, I'm great. They don't get a chance to play immediately and they leave. There's got to be something with that. I hate that portal. I think there should be some kind of penalty. Same thing with sitting out bowl games. You had this stud running back for UNC. He's going to be sitting out the bowl game. It's like, dude, you came all this way. Your team played great all year. You have a chance to go out, I think 9-3 on the season, and you're going to skip the bowl game. These guys all skipping bowl games. Just, dude, you're quitting when I get you want to, you have a huge career maybe ahead of you, but you're going to look back one day and be like, what the heck, man? I quit on my teammates.
I agree. Yeah. I mean, I feel like the whole, I'm not playing in the bowl game. I understand their concept. Oh, I might get hurt. And, what's that going to do for me going into the draft? But, what about if you come out and you light it up in this bowl game? What could that do for your draft?
Exactly.
I don't understand the concept of not playing in the bowl game when that's what you have done your whole season to prepare for, is to play in a bowl game. Whether it be a national championship or one of those bowl games or any bowl game.
Right. It's like, I didn't make it to the national title, so I'm not playing. It's like, man, that's not right at all. That shouldn't be allowed. But
yeah, I don't agree with that. And the same thing with the whole transfer thing. I mean, anymore there's it used to be, if you transfer you have to sit out a year, and then it was well, it's medical or it's something else, and that's why they transferred. And now it's pretty much, well, you want to transfer? Okay, well, we'll give you, just go ahead and play. It's like, why is there even a point anymore?
Yeah,
it's almost like I feel that it's going to get to the point where it's going to be the same as basketball, where you play one season, and if you want, because I know you got to play 2 seasons in the NFL, correct? Is it 2 or 3?
In the NFL?
You can go, in the NFL. Because in basketball, you can go 1 and then go into the NBA.
Oh, you mean 2 seasons in college before you can go to the NFL?
Yeah. Is it 2 seasons?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
I mean,
it wouldn't surprise me one bit if they changed that.
mm,
It wouldn't surprise me at all if they change it and say pretty much the same as as college basketball. You play one season, you can go to the NFL, and there's no penalty for transfer.
mm-hmm.
It wouldn't surprise me at all because it seems like that's what it's coming down to.
I agree. I mean, you don't see, I'll harken back to we've talked before. Tim Duncan, my favorite, basketball player of all time. You don't see guys like that anymore. He stayed 4 years at Wake Forest. It helped him mature, and he became, top, in my opinion, top 10, top 15 greatest players of all time. You just don't see that now. It's, well, I'm going to play 1 year, I'm going to go out and make me some money, or I'm going to go out, I'm going to be a bust. I mean, there's so many guys that they just jump, and now it's, I'm not even going to go to college. I'm going to go to the G League. I'm going to sign there. I'm going to at least make some money. It's like, yeah, but then you have no education. If you break your ankle in the G League or you have a compound fracture, whatever, and you never get called up to that, Knicks roster or Bucks roster, guess what, man? Now what are you going to do? You're going to go overseas and play somewhere and make some money for a while? It's like,
man. Yeah, I don't agree. I mean, I just feel like that's what it's coming to. I don't agree with it because, in my opinion, I feel that they need to at least do 2 years because you can get some type of a degree in 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
That way, if in the 90 whatever percent of people who don't make it to the NBA or the NFL who do play in college, they have that to fall back on. They have a degree. They have the education.
Absolutely.
Because, like you said, if they get hurt and something happens, oh well, I can't play. Well, and I didn't finish college. Well, you made that decision, man. I mean, that's on you.
Absolutely, dude. And I played obviously at a lesser level, played college sports, and it's like, man, those are 4 years that you'll never get back. Like, it was an enjoyable time. You make good friends. You make, just the experiences you get to have. You jump from being an 18-year-old and you jump right in playing with guys who are, 28, 30 years old. That's a whole different ball game than you going and trying to mature, not just physically, but maturing mentally from that 18 to 21, especially dudes, man, especially guys. I mean, that's a huge maturation period, 18 to 21 for guys. You know what I mean? You get out of that stupid phase, doing stupid stuff, and you finally like, okay, man, here's what I need to do to turn my life around or make better decisions. Because a lot of these guys are coming from bad situations. So I don't know. I just think.
You mean we actually do mature?
Well, I mean, not me and you, but
I'm speaking, gotcha. Okay,
I'm speaking for the general. Yeah.
But no, I do agree. That's a huge difference. And not to mention when you throw in the fact that like you play, you have an 18-year-old who plays 1 year of college, whatever basketball, and then they're like, well, I'm good enough. I'm going to go into the NBA. And you've got these people throwing, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars in front of your face. Of course you're going to go. You're not going. You're going to forego your education. And all that. But is it the correct choice? I don't know because, like you say, what happens if you get hurt? What happens if you just literally can't do it? You can't. You get up there and you're not as good as you think you are, or anyone else thinks you are, and you don't make it. So now you're stuck. At a lesser G League or let's say you do get hurt and you don't have anything to fall back on. I don't feel like it's the right choice.
Look at Iggy Brasdeikis, man. Look at how good he was in that 1 year at Michigan.
He was fantastic.
He decides to come out.
But do I think he was NBA ready? Absolutely not.
Oh, absolutely not. And it shows now. He was drafted. I think he was drafted maybe 47th by the Knicks, and just man. He's not, he's buried on that depth chart now. He spent some time in the G League. They brought him up. Now he's up on the Knicks roster, but he's not playing. It's like, dude, you could still be at Michigan. I think this would be his senior year, right?
I think it would be.
It's like, dude, you could still be here. You could still, maybe not. Maybe you would have left last year, but maybe you would have averaged 20 or 22 a game, refined your skills a little bit more. People would have saw you as, okay, instead of going 47th, you're going to go 17th in the draft. You just made a couple more $1 million. But these guys see those dollar signs, man. Oh, I'm good enough. And more often than not, it does not turn out, how you hoped. But that'd be hard, right? Somebody waves, wave this $2 million signing bonus in your face, and you come from nothing. That's hard to say no to, man. That's got to be. Yeah. I'd like to have that opportunity, right? I'd like to have that opportunity.
Absolutely. But... And here's the thing: if you're smart about it and you take that $2 million and you invest it and save it and do it the right way, that could set you up for God knows how long. But that's the problem is they don't do it that way.
That's something that every athlete should have a class in finance, in savings, retirement, stocks, bonds.
Absolutely.
Teach them about Roth IRAs, teach them about traditional IRAs, teach them about saving, man, because it just doesn't happen enough. That should be something.
If that's the case, teach them about a simple savings account.
Yeah.
Because if nothing else, they could at least do that.
Yeah. It's sad, man. It's sad that they have that opportunity. They see those big lights, and they don't play that long game. They want that short satisfaction, that quick satisfaction, and sometimes, it fades even quicker than it comes. So.
Yeah, and I hate to say it because, that happens more often than not.
Not sure how we got off on that tangent, but we'll hop back into the bowl games and the Big Ten teams that have made bowl games. You got Wisconsin playing Wake Forest actually tomorrow at noon in the Duke's Mayo Bowl. Wisconsin favored by 7.5 in that game. You had Iowa-Missouri bowl game canceled, so their season's over. Auburn, Northwestern in the Citrus Bowl, which that might be a decent game. They actually have Northwestern favored as a 3.5 point favorite, which I think Auburn wins that game. I don't think Northwestern, again, I don't think they have I don't think they can hang. I think Auburn will put up some points. Hopefully not, because I like watching Northwestern. I like Fitzgerald, so I'll be pulling for them. But I think Auburn. I think Auburn wins that. And the same with the Outback Bowl, man. You have, Indiana coming off a magical season. Unfortunately, lost their starting quarterback. Penix won't be in there. They have to play Ole Miss. Indiana's favored by 8, but I'm picking the upset there. I think Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin. I think they're gonna upset Indiana, and I think they're gonna upset them pretty handily. I think they'll beat them by 2 scores.
Yeah, I haven't seen much of Ole Miss this year, but I mean, anytime you're going to play an SEC school, it's going to be a tough game.
Right. Kiffin's fun to watch, man. Do I like him? No. Is he a shyster? Yeah, but his teams are always kind of fun to watch on offense.
Yeah. Don't ask Don about his opinion on Lane Kiffin.
I don't care about any of Don's opinions. Just kidding, Don. Love you, buddy. Nobody's happier than Brady being out of New England than Don right now.
Oh, absolutely. You know that for a fact.
I hope he's loving it.
Finally have their chance. Oh, he is.
Dude, love it. I know he's good. I know he's cautiously optimistic, but man, enjoy it. It doesn't. That stuff like that sometimes doesn't happen often. I'm a Cub fan, right? And the Cubs are imploding right now. Getting rid of everybody. They're going to go through another rebuild. So, man, I had that, World Series back in 2016. Enjoy this. Hopefully the Bills can go a long way because they're fun to watch. That's a totally different team that's been on the field the last, 3 or 4 years.
Absolutely. And you can say that, not to change the subject, but you say the same about the Patriots this year as compared to last year.
Oh, yeah.
Completely different team.
Absolutely.
But yeah, again, like you said, Don, enjoy it because the Bills are playing good. They're playing really good. I took them to cover last night, so and they did.
That they did, man. They didn't just cover them; they covered them, lit them on fire.
They covered they could have covered almost 4 times. Yeah, it was a very good game. Very good game.
A couple other big bowl games, man. Wednesday you got the Cotton Bowl. You got Florida versus Oklahoma, which. That's my headline.
That should be a good game, yeah.
Yeah, that's the one I'm most interested in. I really like both of those teams. I really love watching Oklahoma play, but I really love watching Trask at Florida. Him and Pitts, that combination is just unreal. OU's favored by 3 in that game. To me, that's kind of a pick 'em, man. I think Oklahoma's speed might be a little too much for Florida's defense to handle. So if I had to bet, I would pick Oklahoma, but I'm pulling for Florida. You got the Peach Bowl. You got 9-0 Cincinnati versus 7-2 Georgia. This is the statement time for Cincinnati. They got to be ticked off about being left out at 9-0, especially in a year like this. If there ever was a year to take one of the non-power guys, this was it. And Cincinnati with a 9-0 record didn't get in. So still make a great bowl in the Peach Bowl. They come in at 9-0, but they're still underdogs. They're 7-point underdogs at Georgia. Luke Fickell's got them doing great things there, so that should be fun. That should be a fun game. Georgia's that team, and we've talked about it before. Georgia's
Never know.
They're the Keith Jardine, right? If you ever watched the UFC, Jardine always made it to that point, but couldn't get over that hump. He couldn't get over that hump to win the belt. That's Georgia, man. They're always right there, and then they have that hiccup. So, kind of be anxious to see how that game goes. Should be a pretty good game.
You got, I agree. I'll be interested to see what Fickle does at Cincinnati. Like you say, that they 9-0, but again, the big thing there that it all comes down to is who did they play.
Right.
That's what it all comes down to, because again, these other teams that did make it to the championship, they for the most part play a higher caliber team, a higher caliber schedule. So,
for sure,
and I'm not saying that 9-0 isn't a great season, because obviously it is. But when you look at everything, all rolled up together, some of these higher SEC and Power 5 schools with the schedule that they play, they're going to pick them over a non-Power 5 team, no matter what the record is.
Absolutely. Another fun game that's kind of of some importance to Michigan fans, because of those guys who wanted Matt Campbell to eventually come on board, which again doesn't look like that's happening. But 4-2 Oregon taking on 8-3 Iowa State. That's in the Fiesta Bowl. Iowa State favored by 4.5. I'd like to see Iowa State win that, man. I really like Campbell. I like what they're doing there. I like watching them play. I've watched a few of their games this season, and I really like it. It's kind of old school Big Ten. It kind of reminds me of old school Michigan football. Throwing to the tight ends a lot. And Breece Hall, their running back, is just tremendous. Have you had a chance to watch him play?
Yeah, I've watched him. He's a very good back. And again, Campbell, it's good to see what he's doing there with the lower, in general, the lower recruits of the Big 12, because it seems, you always have the higher recruits going to Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, Texas Tech, TCU in the past decade or so. It's like Iowa State. It's like, who is Iowa State?
Mm-hmm.
They never get that name. They don't have that identity. So for him to really make a name out of the quote, 2-3 star recruits that he gets, and have them playing well together and beating some of these other schools like Oklahoma and Texas, it really makes a statement for him and his program.
Absolutely, beat Oklahoma this year and really played them tight in the championship game there in the Big 12.
Yeah.
Fun game, just came down to the end, and big interception thrown late, but fun game to watch. And like I said, I really like what they're doing. Then in the Orange Bowl, you have Texas A&M 8-1 versus UNC at 8-3. A&M's favored by 7.5. A&M's got to be a little upset that they were the team kind of left out of the mix. Did they deserve to be in the top 4? Again, I mean, they played a 9-game schedule, played in the SEC. Only loss was to in my opinion, and most people probably listen to this, by far the best team in the country, Alabama. So I think A&M's got a little bit of a gripe. Again, not picking on the Buckeyes, because everybody knows my feelings on the Buckeyes, but on here I try to be pretty impartial. I just don't think 6-0. I mean, to me, is that enough games to get you in? I mean, again, you're going to go where the money is. They have a huge fan base, a huge following. It's going to draw. I think if they played head to head, I think Ohio State beats them. I think Ohio State's one of the 4 best teams. However, 6 games compared to 9 games, I just don't know. I don't know, but right. I think they're going to have a little chip on their shoulder. But I'll tell you, that UNC team is tough, and they're fun to watch. The only thing that's going to hurt them is, I think it was Williams, the running back that opted out.
Yeah.
I think that's going to hurt them a lot. They have 2 pretty good running backs, but if he was playing, I would have picked UNC. I think with him out, I think it's a little closer. I think it's kind of either a pick 'em, a pick 'em right now, to be honest with you. I don't see
be a good game to watch.
Yeah, I can't see A&M being favored 7.5. That's just, to me, that's a little too much.
Like you said, the BCS, I saw a thing where it said they were possibly bringing back the computer system and not going back to the computer system because it was pretty much the same as it is now with the way that everyone picks. In my opinion, there will not be a complete way to do it, and I won't be happy until they do an 8-team playoff. Because 4 teams, I just feel like there's people left out that should be in there. 8 teams, I feel like that covers all bases of Power Five schools with independents and these other conferences that have these undefeated teams who feel that they should be in there because that covers everything.
Yeah.
And what do you add in one extra week and a few extra bowl games? They're going to get their money.
Sure.
So I don't understand why they haven't done it already. I just, but
they will. Eventually, they will.
Well, supposedly, but it's like another 4 or 5 years before they come to revisit it again.
Right.
It just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense at all. I don't understand why they didn't do that to begin with.
I think if you even go back to the BCS and all the years, what did it come in 99? I think BCS come in 99 year after, right?
Yeah, I think so. 98 or 99.
So I think if you go back to then and you see who's playing in these games, it typically works itself out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's typically.
I completely agree. I mean, you typically have your championship out of your top 4. But just to be on the fair side and the safe side, you take 8 teams, you've got 5 Power 5. So you take the winner from each of the 5, and then you throw in an independent, say Notre Dame, who has a great season like this year. And then you throw in the UCF from a couple of years ago, who went undefeated and thought they should be in the title game.
Sure.
And then you throw in the SEC, maybe the second place team if you have 2 undefeated teams, Alabama and say Florida, undefeated, and one team's got to lose.
Right.
So you throw that in. So there's your 8 teams, and it's not like number 7 is any worse than number 4.
Right.
But you're going to get a more well-rounded, pick of teams to be able to play for the championship. And obviously your championship team is going to be from the top 8, probably the top 4, but that at least covers all bases.
Sure. I mean, when would you have? When else would you see an Alabama versus Cincinnati, or a Alabama versus Iowa State? It's good to let those kids have a chance to play the big dogs. You don't see that often. So I'm with you, and I think eventually they come around to it. But
I hope so.
For now, we'll just have these debates and these arguments back and forth, and that's good too. That drums up some interest and gets people talking. So obviously the big 2 games, man. You got the Sugar Bowl. Clemson 10-1 versus Ohio State at 6-0. Clemson's actually favored by 7.5 in that game. Dabo's throwing a little lighter fluid on the fire, talking about he ranked. I don't know if you saw this, but he ranked Ohio State 11th in his coaches poll. And again, man, 11th
this year
11th is kind of ridiculous, but out of the top 4, I get it. I mean, I get these guys saying, hey, man, we played 10, 11, 12 games. I had to play without my starting quarterback, and a good team in Notre Dame, you know what I mean? Like, that's just how the year has fallen. But
right. What's crazy is if you look at, Notre Dame, Clemson in the first game when Trevor Lawrence was out, and then in the championship game, or, when they played the second time with Trevor Lawrence, huge difference.
Oh, absolutely. And, the quarterback the first game had a heck of a game.
Right.
I can't remember his name right off. I'm not Uiagalelei, I think, something like that. He had a heck of a game, but totally different with Lawrence in there. You can just tell, the team responded a little better. They seemed a little more under control, a little more calm. But that game, man, looking right now, watching how Fields played against the 2 top teams he played earlier in the year, if he plays like that, it could be a whitewash. This game could be over early, but I don't think it will. I think it's going to surprise a lot of people. I think this is going to be super close. I think Clemson wins it, but I can see a 31-28. Maybe Ohio State leads for 3 quarters. They're just too good, man. Offensively, they're too good. If their defense steps up, and you just can't underestimate them. Again, they should be pretty fresh. They're going to have all of their starters, which that's something we haven't talked on with the rules being changed for them to make the Big Ten title game, the rules being changed for them to be able to have all their starters healthy. That is what it is, whatever. But man, a healthy Ohio State team is going to be tough. Again, they should be fresh with only playing 6 games on the year. Clemson's going to be a little more banged up. They basically played double the season that Ohio State played, so should be interesting. But I think Clemson comes out, ahead. but I think it's by 3 or even less. I think it's that close.
Wow, that's I can see. I can agree with you for most. I really think Ohio State's going to come out with a fire under their butt, just because of comments that Sweeney had. So I really think they're going to take it to them right out of the gate. I feel that it's going to be close in the first half, maybe even tied going in at halftime, or Ohio State may even have a little bit of a lead. But I think ultimately Clemson's defense will buckle down. They will make Fields throw, and I got a feeling he's going to throw a couple of interceptions in the second half, trying to come back. Because I really think with their rush defense, that they'll I'm not going to say they're going to shut down the running back Sermon, but I think they're going to keep him in check, which is going to make them throw the ball more. And I think ultimately he does toss a couple picks there towards the end. And I think Clemson's going to win it. I'm going to say probably by 1 touchdown overall, but it might be by maybe I'll say a touchdown or 10 points.
And I tell you, man, there's just something different when Trevor Lawrence is in there. The dude's just a winner. Not that Fields isn't, but there's just this presence about him, man, that is, I don't know. There's just something special about the kid. I hope he goes on to I think him and Fields both will go on and do good things at the next level. Heck, they might be the number 1 and number 2 drafted players, in this year's draft. Again, I'm not taking anything away from Ohio State. Again, my feelings. The people listening know my feelings. I'm not a fan at all. If they could go 0-10 every year, 0-12 every year, that'd be great with me, whatever. But they're tough, man. They're a really, really good team. And I think under normal circumstances, if this year had played out with no pandemic and whatever, man, they might be sitting number 1 or number 2 in the country right now.
Oh, I agree. Because I mean, for sure, the 2 games that they didn't get to play, they would have won for sure.
Oh, yeah.
And they would have won easily. So that would have made them, even higher. I mean, it could have possibly propelled them up, from 3 to 2. Obviously, that's not going to make a difference because they would still play the same team.
Right.
But, but I do agree. I feel it would have got them more experience and just got them more well-oiled, to say.
I agree, man. And then we're moving on to the number 1 versus number 4. You got 11-0 Alabama, 10-1 Notre Dame in the Rose Bowl, which is going to be played in Dallas, I believe.
Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, they still with the restrictions out there, they're kind of moving everything over. But this is number 1 versus number 4, and you talk about a discrepancy. Bama is favored by 19.5 points. Number 1 versus number 4.
What's crazy is if I was betting that, I would take the point. I would take the cover. I just, to me, I'm not saying Notre Dame isn't a decent team because they are, but again, their schedule, they schedule who they want. And for the most part now, it's ACC teams, which, I mean, if you take Clemson out, who else is in the ACC?
Yeah, I mean, UNC, they had a pretty good year. Miami had a decent year, but
nothing compared to like an SEC, SEC schedule or something like that. I feel that Notre Dame, sorry, Hollis, but I despise Notre Dame just for the simple fact that they're independent. They can do whatever the heck they want and get away with it. But I don't feel that they're as good of a team as what their rank is. Are they in the top 10? Yeah, I would say the top 10. Are they number 4? I don't think so.
I don't either. I think you pit them head to head with Texas A&M. You pit them head to head with Cincinnati. You put them head to head with Oklahoma or Georgia 10 times each. I mean, they might go 5-5 versus those teams. So I don't know if they're top 4 either.
Right.
But the way it played out this year, I think they got the right team in there, though. I think they deserved it after beating Clemson.
Yeah, I agree.
Taking care of business. And then, they got shellacked in the championship game, but again, man, you can't.
Yeah, I feel they're going to get shellacked in this one.
I do too.
You said 19.
19
I think they cover. I think Alabama covers that. I think they'll beat them by at least 21 to 24.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be pretty ridiculous. Alabama's just by far and away they're the best team I've watched. They have weapons at every position. Mac Jones has had just a tremendous year. You got Najee Harris in the backfield. You got Devontae Smith, who possibly a Heisman winner. And man, imagine if they had Jalen Waddle. He's probably their best receiver, and he's been out pretty much the whole year.
Yeah.
They're men amongst boys right now. They really are.
They are. They're to that point, and they have been, for quite some time, where they just reload people. I mean, they have people waiting. They've got 4 and 5 star people just sitting waiting to go in.
Right. So I think we're pretty much on the same page here. We think it's probably going to be Clemson, Bama in the national title game.
I agree.
I think I talked about Devontae Smith there a little bit. I have a few stats as far as the Heisman vote goes, and then we'll hop into Michigan basketball really quickly, and we'll finish this up. But there's the 4 guys in the Heisman race. You got Kyle Trask for Florida, Mac Jones for Alabama, Trevor Lawrence for Clemson, and Devontae Smith for Alabama. I got their stats here. I'm going to read them off to you. Tell me what you think. Tell me who's your winner, and then I'll tell you who I think should win it. Starting off, Kyle Trask, Gators played 11 games. He threw for 4,125 yards, 43 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, completing 69.7% of his passes. And that's without a running game. Like, Florida did not have a running game all year. So for him to only throw 5 picks when it was down to him pretty much to make plays, on a game-to-game basis, that's pretty impressive.
All right.
You got Mac Jones, Alabama's quarterback, again, 11 games. He threw for 3,739 yards, 32 touchdowns, 4 picks, completed 76.5% of his passes. Isn't that just unreal?
Yeah, that's very impressive.
Very impressive.
I mean, the good thing is there, like you say, he's got a running game to go behind, so a lot that will play off of play action.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You run the ball 6-7 yards, you turn around and play action, they're going to key on it. You're going to have wide open receivers all over the place.
Right. You got Trevor Lawrence for Clemson, who played in only 9 games, but in those 9 games, he threw for 2,753 yards, 22 TDs, 4 picks, completed 69.2% of his passes. So out of the 3 so far, Trask 69.7%, Jones 76.5%, Lawrence 69.2% of their passes completed. Man, that to have a quarterback like that, what must that feel like?
I don't know.
And then you have
I don't know.
Yeah, the 4th and final guy, Devontae Smith, 11 games with Alabama. This guy lit it up. 98 catches, 1,511 yards, 17 touchdowns. Carried the ball only 3 times for 11 yards, but had a touchdown there. Had 3 kickoff returns for 46 yards. Had 8 punt returns for 199 yards and a touchdown. So those are just crazy video game numbers. So with hearing those stats, who do you think is the winner? Who would you pick as the winner?
When do they make that decision?
It's coming up pretty soon. I can't remember if it's this Friday or next Friday.
Okay.
Maybe
my thoughts on it. Trevor Lawrence, he didn't play enough games. 2,000 some odd yards. He still had a good touchdown to interception ratio, 69% passes completed. I just don't think he played in enough games to really warrant, being able to win that. Looking at the other 2 quarterbacks, obviously Trask threw way better touchdown to interception ratio. You said he didn't throw a pick, right?
No, Trask had 43 TDs and 5 picks. Jones had 32 TDs and 4 picks.
I got you. That ratio, obviously Trask got more touchdowns to only 1 more interception. Jones has a higher completion rating. It's hard to say there, but if it was me, I really like Devontae Smith. There hasn't been a guy since Woodson that's not been a quarterback or running back that's won the freaking Heisman.
Mm-hmm.
So I love to see people who are not quarterback and running back win Heisman. It just doesn't happen very often, and it really takes a special talent to be able to do that. If it was me, I would give it to Devontae Smith. What do I think is going to happen? I personally think that Mac Jones will get it, just because he's Alabama. He's at Alabama. He threw for more yardage. His completion percentage was higher. He's going to be the one. He's going to be playing, I'm sure, in that national championship game. I just feel like he's overall in the eyes of everyone out there, he's going to be the one to win it. But again, if it was me, I think that Smith should win it.
Going into the last week or two of the season, man, I was so high on Trask. And again, watching Florida play, I really like the way they play. The dude had no running game. So to do what he did with no running game just was amazing. I think he moved from first to second on my list. I still think he's the better of those quarterbacks, or not necessarily the better of those quarterbacks. He had the best year of those quarterbacks, I think. But I think Devontae Smith, I think those last couple games, what he did, I think he vaulted himself up, and I don't think the vote's going to be close. I think he wins it pretty handily. I would vote him first, Trask second, but I think they're going to vote Devontae first, Mac Jones second. Like you said, it's Alabama. It's a team that's probably going to be playing for the national championship. I wouldn't be surprised to see Trask even finish fourth under Lawrence, which I don't think he should, because again, Lawrence didn't play, only played 9 games, still had a great season, but Trask's season was better. So I would like to see Trask finish first, but I think it's going to be Smith, Mac Jones, Trask, and Lawrence in that order.
Yeah, I can see that. I think, again, it just seems like it's always running back, quarterback. I feel like they're going to have Mac Jones up at the top. And my other reason behind that is, let's just say that Devontae Smith is on, is not on Alabama, is on, just throwing it, say if he's on Cincinnati with those numbers. Does he win the Heisman? Is he even in the talk?
Right.
If he's not, you know what I mean? If he's on a lesser school, it's not a big Power 5 team.
Sure.
I don't see that. So that's the only reason I feel like with the numbers that he has, and him being on a team that's probably getting ready to play for a national championship, that's what's got him up into the talks to begin with. So
I agree, man. I agree. So again, like I said, I think we're both in agreement. We'll talk about the national championship matchup when we get on here next week. But I think we're both in agreement that it's going to be Clemson versus Alabama again. I think right now, far and away, I think they're the two best teams. Well, I think Alabama's far and away the best team. I think Clemson and Ohio State's pretty close, but I give Clemson that slight nod there. So should be fun, man. It's kind of old, getting repetitive. These same 3 teams every year, but other teams have the same chance.
It is, but you know what? Yeah, exactly. If those are the 3, 4 best teams in the country, then so be it. They are.
Absolutely. Well, man, let's hop over. We'll talk about Michigan basketball real quick, and then we'll end this for this evening. I know we've been going a little bit longer than you probably planned, and I planned for tonight, but
yeah, I didn't figure we'd take very long at all.
I actually have a whole lot more. I'm going to save that for when we talk specifically about Michigan basketball. I'll push that back a little bit. I'll touch on a little bit of what I have written down, but we'll talk more about Michigan basketball at another time. But anyway, man, we've had one basketball game since we last talked 2 weeks ago. That was a Christmas Day game. Michigan.
I thought they had 2.
I think since we've talked,
I can't remember when the last one we did. I know they played on the 13th.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember if we had talked about the Penn State game or not.
We did. Yep.
Okay, yeah. So they just did play the one game then.
Yeah, they played Nebraska on Christmas. Great start by Nebraska, man. Nebraska came out. I was nervous early on about their length. They seemed to get after the ball well. They seemed to play really, really good defense, and they were right there at halftime, man. They were only down by 2. You had this Allen kid for Nebraska, Teddy Allen, just went off in the first half.
That's what I was going to talk about. And honestly, I really think that if you took him out of the game, I mean, Nebraska had a couple other guys that I think scored above 10, but they didn't have the presence and the just the that being able to take over the game the way that Teddy Allen did for their team.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
I feel like if you took him out, they'd really be hurting. Like he was the one thing that was keeping that whole team together during that game.
Absolutely, man. He, like I said, he went off in the first half, scored 21.
Okay, I was thinking 20 or 21.
Went into halftime. Nebraska was down 36-34, and then Michigan just opened it up in the second half. Read reports after the game. Read a tweet from Jawan that said, at halftime, Sean D. Brown said, "Hey, I want Allen. Give me Allen. Let me guard him." And he shut him down, man. Second half, Allen scored 4 points, including a 25-foot bank shot for a 3 that was just ridiculously ugly.
Yeah, that was ugly. And you know what? I really feel, you're probably getting ready to say Shawnee Brown. If that's the case, if that's the tweet that he said that, then kudos to him, because first off, he's a great defender. I mean, he probably plays defense better than any person on that team, I feel.
Absolutely.
Just the aggressiveness. And for him to say, "Hey, I want him, let me have him," and for Juwan Howard to say, "Okay, take him," and for him to shut him down like that says something about Sean D. Brown and his defense.
Absolutely. Yeah, he came in and got all up in Allen. It just wasn't the same Nebraska team in the second half. Michigan ends up winning 80-69. Seeing some good things, man. I like this team a lot. I don't think they're elite, but I think they're making headway to where once we do get to tournament time, I think they could cause some damage. I really do.
I do too.
They need that backup to Dickinson right now with Davis being out. Again, Johns just isn't. He's not big enough to come in and fill that center role. I really think Williams has moved ahead of Johns as far as what I like to see in the game. I really like the Williams kid, Terrence. I think he's going to be really good, and he's really the only freshman other than you had Zeb come in, but other than Dickinson, Terrence is really the only other guy seeing the floor.
Yeah, and I agree. Dickinson obviously has been projected up with Davis going out. Terrence Williams, I really like him. Seems more than anything, I find him getting a lot of rebounds. Seems like he's always in the right place, on defense to get those rebounds. But I like the way he plays. Zeb, I think, he just got too many people ahead of him right now with Brooks and Smith. But obviously they're both be gone next year, so that's really going to learn as much as you can this year and take that into next year.
Right. Again, seeing some good things, man. Michigan improved to 7-0. They're up to number 16 in the latest rankings. For a team that struggled just to start in the top 25 this year, won their first couple games, dropped out of the top 25, had to kind of battle back to get in, and now they're sitting there at 16. Got Maryland coming up here, I believe, on Thursday, and then they play a really strong Northwestern team who's had some really big wins lately. They got them coming in after that, I think January 2nd maybe. So it should be a good couple of weeks of basketball. One thing that's still concerning me, they're not hitting their outside shots. 9 for 27 from 3, so 33% is not terrible. But I'd like to see them get that up to 37, 38, 39% if possible. Yeah, and they're still turning the ball over too much. 15 turnovers. Again, I think you can attribute a lot of that to Nebraska's defense early on. I think they were playing really well, really long, and it just made it hard for passing lanes. But I'll tell you what, man, Mike Smith, my goodness, I was taken back to Xavier Simpson on some of those passes. Mike Smith played I think this is the best game I've seen him play.
Yeah, I agree. He's been a bright spot. Because I know I've talked about it before, I was really kind of nervous with Simpson out because the only thing I knew, was coming up was Eli Brooks. And I was like, well, I'm not really sure about Brooks. And then, Mike Smith comes in and he kind of takes that role over.
He does.
So I was kind of happy to see, that really was a bright spot.
Absolutely.
But like you said, turnovers are killing us because 15 in this game, 15 in the game before. Mm-hmm. That's tough. You give away 15. I can understand. And I think in both of those games, our opponent had one was 7 and one was 8, maybe.
Mm-hmm. So
I mean, you're doubling, the amount of turnovers that you're giving them.
Absolutely. And you can't have a 1-to-1 assist to turnover ratio. They had 16 assists, 15 turnovers. Like, you got to be better than that. But on the game, we had, solid scoring effort from 4 of the 5 starters, and then Shawnee Brown. Shawnee came in, had 13 points, 5 rebounds. Mike Smith, we talked about him earlier, 10 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists. Franz played great. This might be the best I saw Franz all year. I really like him incorporating this almost little running hook shot. I think that's a weapon he needs to use because, he's 6'9". He can get to the hole pretty easily. You add that little hook shot where you can get that up over the 7'1", 7'2" center. You got something right there that you can kind of really work on down the stretch. And especially if you're playing somebody like a Luka Garza, somebody who's big inside, man, you need to be able to, contort that body a little bit. And that little hook shot just might do the trick for him. Kind of like Simpson the last few years. Simpson obviously, 6 foot, and he had a sweet hook shot.
He did. I love that hook shot. I miss it. I really do.
Franz ended up Go ahead.
Yeah, you say Franz. I agree with you. Franz had probably the best game. I think maybe the third game of the season and this game were his best two. Because I know the first 2 games he didn't play very well at all, and then the third game he kind of came out. I think he had a lot of the early points in that third game, and then this game he was on fire. Yeah, so I was really happy with that.
20 points.
He's like one rebound, then he would have had a double along with Dickinson.
Yep, 20 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists. Livers is Livers. He's pretty steady. 17 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. And Dickinson, man, what can you say? 13 points, 15 rebounds, at least one big block. The dude just, my goodness, he plays for a freshman. He plays like he's a junior or a senior. He's got great touch. The game just comes easy to him. Now we'll see when he plays Garza here in a couple weeks. We'll see how things go there. But I'm really happy with what I'm seeing, man.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be tough no matter who plays Luka Garza.
Sure, I'm just kind of using
a good player, but yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I think he could play with him. I really do. And for next year, I don't think Dickinson goes into the draft. Being a freshman and the whole one and done thing, I don't think he has it, and I don't think by the end of the season he'll have it. So for him to get all this playing time and to be able to learn this season through the off season from Juwan Howard and to come back next season, I really think he could be a huge presence.
I agree.
For the team next year. You're talking like one of your league guys throwing up, 20 and 10 a game and just being that huge presence that they haven't had up there in a while.
Yeah, especially, like I said, man, watching him come in as a freshman, doing what he's doing, he's averaging 15.3 points a game, 8.4 rebounds, 1.7 blocks. He's shooting 70% from the free throw line, which for a guy who's 7'1", 7'2", I'll take that all day. And he's shooting 69% from the field. So the dude sees the court. Again, the game is totally different when he's in there. So I'm anxious to see what he does. Like you said, I think he stays another year. I think with the recruiting class that's coming in, he'll only benefit from that because you're going to have a lot more weapons to be aware of, and that takes some pressure off of him. So I think one more season will play well for him for sure. Well, man, short and sweet with the Michigan basketball. I know the other part took a little bit longer, but again, we'll get back on here next week. We'll discuss some of the bowl outcomes, and we'll kind of give our predictions for the national title game, and go over some more Michigan basketball. Anything else you want to touch on tonight?
No, buddy. I think we've blown smoke long enough. I know we're always like, hey, we need to keep this at 40, 45 minutes, and it's always like an hour and 20.
Yeah,
it's like once you get going, man, you keep talking and you keep going, and it's always something pops into your head, and you're like, oh yeah, and it's just
man. If it were where if we both had jobs where we could just get on the phone at any time of the day. One of us does, but I don't. Where we could just hop on here at any time of the day and do like a quick 20-minute little. Okay, today let's talk about Michigan basketball. Okay, tomorrow let's talk about the bowl games. Okay, you know what I mean? And just do little snippets and do short little 15 to 20-minute videos. That would be different. But
right.
We can't do that. Heck, it's hard enough to. Especially this past week. I went to Tennessee and coming back here, and Christmas and everything was just crazy. Obviously we haven't done this in 2 weeks, so we missed a week there.
Yeah, it's hard. We're just making up for a week.
Yeah, it's hard enough to get on, every week and do it. But we'll keep doing it, man. We'll keep coming up with stuff to talk about. If nothing else, we'll pop in See No Evil, Hear No Evil, and we'll watch it. And we'll just talk. We'll talk along with it and give commentary.
That's nice. Yeah. No, I mean, I've had fun doing it. I'm just, I'm glad to be able to do it and that you have me on here.
Heck yeah, man. We'll keep doing it because it is a lot of fun. Like I said, even if nobody listens to it, I enjoy getting on here and doing it with you. I know if nothing else, I know my dad's gonna listen, and I know Don will listen. So hey, man, we get 2 listeners.
And Ryan will listen.
Okay. So 3. We get 3 listeners. I'm fine with that.
That works for me.
All right, brother. Well, like I said, I'll talk to you next week and say hey to everybody for me. Okay.
Sounds good, buddy. I will.
All right, pal. We'll talk to you later. Go Blue.
Go Blue.
Well, there you go, guys. That's today's show. Again, thanks for listening. Enjoy bowl season. I hope everybody out there had a great Christmas. Hope you guys have a safe New Year. I can't believe football season's winding down already. Thanks for hanging in there with us. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next week. We'll discuss all the bowl results as well as getting ready for the national championship game. Again, guys, thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you then on Brent Ewing's Hey Buddy podcast.